With all of the modern attention placed on DC's multiverse, and all of the modern interpretations of it, I'm wondering how much do people really understand? I'm not a fan of modern comics, and after doing a quick search throughout the internet, I was not able to find a detailed informational account of the original DC Comics multiverse, without the new age rubbish that has been added onto it since Zero Hour. This narration deals with the multiverse that DC built from the 1930s all the way to the mid-1990s with post-Zero Hour implications. Why only these decades? Because everything now is all subject to recon and neglect by modern writers. All of the worlds from these times will always exist as long as DC Comics continues to publish. Let the cataloging of the multiverse begin. Younger readers might not even know why the multiverse was erased originally to begin with. When DC Comics began publishing under the guise of another company decades ago, there was no continuity problems to deal with. But as the decades passed and more characters were created, stories became more extensive. And of course, bad writing was mixed in with good writing. Errors and inconsistencies began to emerge. DC decided to put an end to the multiverse and have just a single Earth. At the time, thinking was that a revamped and single Earth with, at the time, modern interpretations of the characters, early to mid-1990s themes to be exact, would lead to decades of stories to come. Something later proved to be false. There was no real concrete mention of multiple Earths. Only slight references or nothing really agreed to until the issue of Flash 123. Published in 1961, written by Gardner Fox. Attempting to save a bystander, Barry Allen accidentally vibrates his molecules to the exact frequency of Earth-2 where he encounters the Flash of that Earth, Jay Garrick. This story is considered the first indisputable encounter between the so-called Earth-1 and Earth-2. What about before that? Actually, for a time, both Earth-1 and 2 were the same world within DC's continuity. Here are some examples. How was the concept of Earth-2 originally used? Many characters originally published by DC during the Golden Age, which was before the mid-1950s, were revived in new versions during the Silver Age of comics. Later on, once the characters were revived, to explain in some cases why there was two versions of the same character, DC said that the older version of the character still existed, but in the parallel universe of Earth-2. The newer version, and the then, which is still current DC universe, was Earth-1. Example, Jay Garrick, the original and first Flash, was from Earth-2, a member of the Justice Society, while Barry Allen, the Silver Age and second Flash, lived on Earth-1 and was a member of the Justice League of America. The characters who were published continuously, never having their series cancelled and thus did not need to be revived. Prime examples are Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, who also had Earth-1 and Earth-2 counterparts. They were almost, but not exact, duplicates. The combined and amassed changes the character had gone through over the years were assigned to the Earth-1 version. Even more is that the name of Clark Kent's newspaper had changed from the Daily Star to the Daily Planet. So it was said that the Earth-2 Superman always worked at the Star and the Earth-1 Superman always worked at the Planet. Since the Earth-2 characters were supposed to be the original Golden Age versions created in the late 1930s to mid-1940s, by the mid-1960s through 1980s they had naturally and undeniably aged. This allowed for further and logical character development within the stories, notably Batman marrying Catwoman and having a daughter, the original Huntress, later retiring from the mantle of Batman and eventually sacrificing his life to protect Gotham City. Earth-2 was an example of retroactive continuity to explain and separate things. It was introduced after the Golden Age ended and not named or mentioned in the Golden Age of comics itself at all. Were the Earth-2 characters exactly like their counterparts during the Golden Age? To separate the Earth-2 characters from the Earth-1 characters, they were called the Golden Age Superman, Golden Age Flash, and these were intended to be the same characters published during the Golden Age. But there were some errors. An example is the Earth-2 Golden Age Superman worked for the Daily Star under George Taylor, and the Earth-1 Silver Age Superman worked for the Daily Planet under Perry White. But the switch from the Star to the Planet in the comics happened long before the switch from the Golden Age to the Silver Age, so most Golden Age stories already refer to the planet. Readers were actually supposed to ignore these facts and pretend that those Golden Age stories happened at the Star even though they were already published in fact, just to forget it essentially. Another example is the Earth-X characters. These characters were published in the Golden Age by Quality Comics, a rival of DC at the time. They were reintroduced in the Bronze Age as from a world where the Axis powers won World War II. However, Quality used the characters for many years after World War II, and it's impossible for the later Golden Age stories to have happened on Earth-X. Since there was no DC Archives cataloging or World Wide Web back then, it was much harder to notice these differences than it would be for today. What was the cutoff point for when a character's adventures were considered Earth-1 instead of Earth-2? Earth-2 was a major recon at the time. The original stories didn't say that they were taking place on Earth-2 and were assigned to Earth-2 after the fact to make up for this. If a new version of a character had been introduced years after the old one had been cancelled for a time, such as The Flash, it was clear that the old stories were Earth-2 and the new ones were Earth-1. But if a character had been continuously in print like Superman, there was no clear separating differences between Earth-2 and Earth-1 stories. Older stories were Earth-2 and newer ones Earth-1. But there was a lot of stories in the middle that no one was sure where to place. Whether a story was Earth-1 or Earth-2 could come down to a fan's or writer's personal preference, which would later be a deadly choice, ironically. Could characters travel to Earth-2? The Flash originally could cross over by changing his rate of vibration and later had a cosmic treadmill which led him to cross between realities. The Justice League crossed over yearly. Superman could cross under his own powers. Various other characters traveled across at times as well. Besides the comic characters from different comic publishers, were all Golden Age characters placed on Earth-2? Earth-2 was used for characters originally owned by DC. When DC got the faucet in quality comic characters, they were put on Earth-S and Earth-X. The Charlton characters were briefly put on Earth-4 right before the original Crisis on Infinite Earths. Superboy wasn't. The earliest Superman stories, and naturally the Earth-2 Superman continuity, had Superman not becoming a hero until he was an adult, which meant that Superboy had to take place on Earth-1. The animal character Peter Porkchops, when revived in Captain Carrot, was on Earth-C. Placing him on the same Earth as normal superheroes would make no sense at all. Assuming further, other Golden Age characters who quote-unquote should have been on other Earths were shown on Earth-1 instead. A partial list of such characters would include Airwave, the Blackhawks, the Guardian and Newsboy Legion, Plastic Man, Robot Man, Sargon the Sorcerer, TNT and Dan the Dynamite, Vigilante, and Zatara. All these characters were shown on Earth-2, some only briefly. The Brave and the Bold comic was a notorious source of continuity problems, and often showed characters on the wrong Earths with no explanation, particularly Wildcat. Steel, a character who was created in 1978 but lived in the 1940s, was treated ambiguously at first. His own series didn't clarify an Earth, though Baron Blitzkrieg from the also ambiguous Superman vs. Wonder Woman tabloid was planned to appear if his series had continued. He later became a member of the All-Star Squadron on Earth-2, yet was also shown to have a grandson on Earth-1. This was later explained by making him an Earth-2 character who had moved. How did All-Star Squadron use non-Earth-2 characters on Earth-2? The original reason was that these characters were Earth-2 copies of characters who had also existed on other Earths. From All-Star Squadron issue 4, the Rod Riley introduced in All-Star Squadron is, of course, not the one from Earth-X who appeared in Freedom Fighters, nor is our Plastic Man the same as any other who appeared in comics since his original title folded in the mid-1950s. In our view, all 1940s DC and Quality Comics group stories occurred on Earth-2, even though some of these stories were duplicated on Earth-1. In issue 55, writer Roy Thomas admitted that this was a bad idea and that he had moved the Quality characters to their intended Earth during the Crisis on Infinite Earths to fix this. Quote, several readers besides yourself bemoaned the banishing of the Freedom Fighters. However, I feel the real mistake was my including them in the first place, even with the tactical approval of original editor Len Wein, creator of Earth-X. I wanted to get another woman in the group, Phantom Lady, and I have a special fondness for Plastic Man, Doll Man, and the Blackhawks. That was one reason for their inclusion. The others was that many Quality stories being published after 1945 didn't fit well with the concept of their originating on an Earth on which World War II ended years later, and with the Allies defeated by the Axis to boot. In retrospect, I feel I should have left well enough alone. End quote. The fix wasn't perfect since the initial DC appearances of these characters hadn't been written with that in mind, and the characters sometimes acted in ways that didn't make sense if they had moved. Not all characters who needed fixing this way were fixed, either right up until the end of Crisis when the parallel universe were wiped out and the question became useless. Some Golden Age characters were placed on Earth-1 by error, as mentioned previously. Some of those had never been shown to move between Earths. So if you believe that the move didn't happen, these characters' earliest stories could be considered Earth-1. If so, hypothetically the first Earth-1 story was Zatara's introduction in Action Comics issue 1, June 1938. The first story that is undeniably Earth-1, though published long before the concept of Earth-1 had been invented by the writers, was the introduction of Superboy in More Fun Comics issue 101. January and February 1945. Was there an Earth-2 Aquaman? Aquaman was continuously published from the Golden Age through the Silver Age, and even had a different origin in the Golden Age. So logically, there should be a separate Earth-1 and Earth-2 version. The reason this question comes up is that while there was an Earth-2 Aquaman, he didn't physically appear until All-Star Squadron issue 60. The same issue where the Crisis erased Earth-2 for good. Was there an Earth-2 version of Mon-El? An interesting question. This would challenge even the advanced comic reader's knowledge. The Silver Age introduction of Mon-El was a rewritten version of an older story, Superman's Lost Brother from 1953. In this story, the Mon-El character was named Hulk-Car. Since Golden Age stories retroactively took place on Earth-2 and Silver Age on Earth-1, it seems okay to assume that Hulk-Car is the Earth-2 version of Mon-El. Was there an Earth-2 version of Perry White? On Earth-2, Superman worked for George Taylor, not Perry White. In the actual Golden Age comics, Perry White was introduced fairly early, but this is one of those continuity glitches that the readers were again supposed to pretend did not happen. Officially, those stories at the start with George Taylor and Earth-2 stories showing Perry White were considered mistakes. A real Earth-2 Perry was introduced in the 1970s in the Mr. and Mrs. Superman series. He was a contender for the editor-in-chief position of the Daily Star, but Clark Kent got the position instead. Was there an Earth-2 Lana Lang? Lana originally appeared in the Superboy comic series, which was Earth-1. She appeared as an adult during the Golden Age only once, in Superman issue 78, 1952. And that story can't be Earth-2 because it mentions Superboy. The Earth-2 Lana first appeared in the Mr. and Mrs. Superman, which was part of the Superman family, after Lois married Clark. She wasn't Lois's romantic rival. The Earth-2 Lana had Insect Queen powers, but these powers were different and came for another origin than the Earth-1 version. Was there an Earth-2 Supergirl? The answer isn't what you might think. Power Girl is naturally the answer that most would assume. What most people would think is that the Earth-2 version of Supergirl is Power Girl, but perhaps not. The Mr. and Mrs. Superman story in Superman Family issue 220 has a blonde alien girl from the planet Roles with superpowers, who is named Linda Lee while on Earth. a clear reference to Supergirl. The character never appeared again, and Power Girl had already been introduced years before that story. What happened to Earth-2? In the years 1985 and 1986, DC published Crisis on Infinite Earths, which crossed over most DC characters and destroyed or merged together the parallel worlds, including Earth-2. Former Earth-2 characters who were duplicates of others were mostly erased from continuity, since it wouldn't make sense for the merged Earth to have two of the same character. Earth-2 characters who were unique, example being Dr. Fate, or only had similar codenames and powers to their modern counterparts, example being the Flash, were usually kept with some minor changes to their history so that everyone lived on one single Earth. Some characters who were erased from history had their roles retroactively replaced by others. Even though at first the idea sounded good, it easily and quickly became confusing and a regrettable idea. The Golden Age Wonder Woman was replaced by Miss America, a newly introduced quote-unquote Golden Age Fury, and a time-traveling Queen Hippolyta. This replacement is an infamous source of post-crisis confusion. Does anyone remember the Earth-2 post-crisis? Originally, it was planned that the characters who were existing at the dawn of time in the crisis would remember the multiverse, but this was soon ignored. The Psycho Pirate and the Spectre, during circumstances, have been shown to remember Earth-2. What happened to certain Earth-2 characters post-crisis? Superman, his Lois Lane, and the Superboy of Earth Prime survived the crisis and went to a paradise dimension for all eternity. Since Superman was a duplicate version, he was wiped out of history and not remembered by anyone. Batman. The Earth-2 Batman died long before the crisis, and everything related to him was erased from history by the crisis. Wonder Woman. Taken with Steve Trevor to Mount Olympus, has not appeared at all in modern times. Wonder Woman's role was redone with several characters as mentioned previously. Power Girl. Power Girl, though a copy of Supergirl, survived and got a new history, which made her the granddaughter of Orion of Atlantis. This new history has in turn been erased, due to both fan and writer backlash. Currently, Power Girl is an Earth-2 survivor once more. Huntress. The Huntress, the daughter of the Earth-2 Batman and Catwoman, was killed off during the crisis and erased from continuity. It was mentioned in the crisis that her body was never found, but it had been found by the time of the last days of the Justice Society of America special. Later, a new Huntress was introduced based on the costume appearance of the old one but had no connection, family, or otherwise to Batman or Bruce Wayne. With that information now presented, let's go to the different worlds. The worlds mentioned will be from the mid to late 1990s to before the original crisis, so worlds created after that will not be mentioned. Earth-0. Earth-0 naturally for 0 Hour. This was one of the proposed names for the post-Zero Hour DC universe, after a definitive timeline was established. The idea never went through. Earth-1. The inhabitants of this Earth was originally DC's Silver Age heroes, the default Earth for most of DC's superhero adventures during the time the original multiverse was in use. It retained importance over the other worlds which merged with it during the Crisis on Infinite Earths storyline. First described as a distinct Earth in Flash, Volume 1, Issue 123, September 1961. First named in Justice League of America, Volume 1, Issue 21, August 1963. First appearance, More Fun Comics, Issue 101, January 1945. Earth-2. DC's Golden Age heroes were put onto this Earth, including the Justice Society of America, whose careers began at or shortly before the start of the Second World War, which tied in with their first appearances in comics. Earth-2 was actually quite different from the Earth-1 supposedly modeled after Earth Prime. Examples: Quebec was an independent nation from Canada, South Africa had abolished apartheid sooner, and the Atlantean countries of Poseidonus and Tritonus were ruled by a queen, not a king. Their inhabitants displayed surface dweller features and no ability for underwater survival, as the Atlantis continent had been raised to the surface. First described as a distinct Earth in Flash, Volume 1, Issue 123, September 1961. First named in Justice League of America, Issue 21, August 1963. First appearance, New Fun Comics, Issue 1, February 1935. Earth-3. Notable inhabitants, the Crime Syndicate of America. Evil versions of Earth-1 heroes. Everything on this world was reversed. American Christopher Columbus discovered Europe. Britain won its independence from the United States of America. President John Wilkes Booth was assassinated by actor Abraham Lincoln. The United States flag's colors were reversed. Black stars on a red field, with alternating blue and black stripes. Every hero is a villain and every villain a hero. First appearance, Justice League of America, Volume 1, Issue 29, August 1964. Earth-4. Notable inhabitants, the former Charlton Comics Company heroes, Captain Atom, Blue Beetle, Nightshade, Peacemaker, The Question, Thunderbolt, Peter Cannon, and Judo Master. This Earth was introduced at the beginning of the crisis and was soon destroyed. First appearance, YELLOWJACKET, Issue 1, 1944. Earth-5. Notable inhabitants, Bruce Wayne. Taken by the Phantom Stranger to a universe with no Krypton or superheroes, the Earth-1 Batman prevents the murders of the Earth-5 versions of his parents and inspires this Earth's Bruce Wayne to grow up and become the Batman for Earth-5. First appearance, To Kill a Legend, Detective Comics, Issue 500, March 1981. Earth-6. Notable inhabitants, Lady Quark, Lord Volt, and their daughter, Princess Fern. Earth-6 was ruled by a royal family of superheroes. Lord Volt is referred to as the King, and he mentioned his family's reign over Earth. On this Earth, America lost the Revolutionary War, and technology appears to have advanced more rapidly than on Earth-1. Earth-6 was destroyed during the crisis with only Lady Quark surviving. First appearance, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Issue 4, June 1985. Earth-8. Home to DC characters created after the Crisis on Infinite Earths. I personally heard rumors that if the Crisis on Infinite Earths did not happen, essentially that all Bronze Age heroes would be placed on this Earth. Earth-11. Notable inhabitants, Tin. Home to Tin, a robot. A nuclear war devastated this Earth in 1966. First appearance, Teen Titans Spotlight, Issue 11, June 1987. Earth-12. Notable inhabitants, The Inferior 5, Awkward Man, Blimp, Dumb Bunny, Merryman, and White Feather. Parodies of the Fantastic Four or of all superheroes in general. Named in Oz Wonderland War, Issue 3, March 1986. First appearance, Showcase, Issue 62, June 1966. Earth-14. Notable inhabitants, New Gods. The world where all pre-crisis non-Jack Kirby related Fourth World stories took place according to Mark Eivner's speculation in the text page of New Gods, 1984 reprint series, Issue 1. Mentioned in Animal Man, where purple butterflies are an Earth-14 species. Earth-15. Notable inhabitants, Stone Giants. First appearance, Justice League of America, Volume 1, Issue 15, November 1962. Earth-17. Notable inhabitants, Overman. An Earth based around the dark and extreme stories of the 1980s. The heroes of this universe were actually part of an experiment created by the United States government. The inhabitants of this Earth were Overman, Superman's alternate counterpart, who went insane and destructive after contracting a sexually transmitted disease, a black and muscular Wonder Woman, an unnamed Flash, and a punk-style Green Lantern. First appearance, Animal Man, Volume 1, Issue 23, May 1990. Earth-27. Notable inhabitants, Angel Mob, Animal Man, Batman, Buona Beast, Envelope Girl, Front Page, Green Cigarette, Human Vegetable, Notional Man, and Nowhere Man. Home of different versions of Animal Man, Batman, Buona Beast, and key historical divergences such as Adolf Hitler's hanging for his war crimes and United States Senator Edward Kennedy's drowning at Chappaquiddick. The American government is corrupt and is extremely right-wing. The Buddy Baker, Animal Man, of the post-crisis Earth could only exist in this universe in the body and mind of that universe's Buddy Baker, and could only leave the Earth by killing his parallel self. First appearance, Animal Man, issue 27, September 1990. Earth-32, notable inhabitants, almost exact counterparts of Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Carol Ferris, Star Sapphire, and other DC heroes. After Carol Ferris professed her love for Hal Jordan instead of Green Lantern and accepted his marriage proposal, he eventually figured out that he had somehow shifted into a parallel universe, which he compared to the home of the JSA and labeled Earth-32. First appearance, Green Lantern, Volume 2, Issue 32, October 1964. Earth-61, notable inhabitants, Barbara Gordon, Batgirl and Robin, Detective Duell, Two-Face, Haley Fitzpatrick, Harley Quinn, Richard Grustark, Dick Grayson, Robin, Bianca Steeplechase, Joker, and Bruce Wayne, Batman. A world where Barbara Gordon and her boyfriend Richard Grustark became Batgirl and Robin in 1961 and fight against corrupt cops and other establishment types led by the white-faced Bianca Steeplechase, who later kills Richard. Gotham police detective Bruce Wayne, who has been framed for murder, then becomes Batman, and Barbara later assumes the Robin mantle while seeking revenge for her lover's death. Bruce Wayne's family lost their fortune during the Great Depression, and Wayne Manor is now owned by Barbara Gordon. Earth-85, notable inhabitants, Shade the Changing Man, home to the version of Shade the Changing Man from the Vertigo series by Peter Milligan and Chris Bachalo. First appearance, Shade the Changing Man, Issue 1, July 1990. Earth-86, notable inhabitants, the Atomic Knights, Hercules, Katmundi, and One-Man Army Corps, OMAC. An Earth that was ravaged by an atomic war in the year 1986. First appearance, Strange Adventures, Issue 117, June 1960. Earth-96, notable inhabitants, older versions of surviving post-Crisis on Infinite Earths heroes. A future timeline in which Superman has been retired for 10 years, with events which severed his ties to humanity. In order to handle a new, often lawless generation of heroes, Superman reforms the Justice League, a gathering of power which concerns non-powered humans led by Lex Luthor. He later settles down with Wonder Woman and they have a child. First appearance, Kingdom Come, Issue 1, May 1996. On a special note, this was rumored to have been the future of the actual current DC Universe timeline Earth-1, with the far future being that of the Batman Beyond universe. However, the idea fell through and currently, this is just an alternate Earth. Earth-97, notable inhabitants, the tangent versions of DC heroes. The tangent characters were radically re-envisioned versions of DC characters, with usually only the name as a reference to the original character the tangent version was based on. First appearance, Tangent Comics imprint, 1997. Earth-154, notable inhabitants, Superman Jr., Clark Kent Jr., and Batman Jr., Bruce Wayne Jr., the Super Sons, younger versions of their superhero fathers. The son of Clark Kent and Lois Lane and the son of Bruce Wayne and Kathy Kane try to live up to or surpass their father's legacies, but usually end up arguing or causing trouble. Their final appearance was in World's Finest, issue 263, claimed the Super Sons were merely computer simulations, which was possibly a later recon. The Super Sons also appeared in the 1999 Elseworlds 80-page giant one-shot issue. This Earth is also identified as Earth-E, and its name was given by Mark Gruenwald in Omniverse Issue 1, 1977, and it was also used to explain transitional elements in Superman and Batman stories of the 1950s. First appearance, World's Finest Comics, Issue 154, December 1966. Earth 162, notable inhabitants, Superman Red, Superman Blue. An Earth home to Superman Red, who married Lana Lang, and Superman Blue, who married Lois Lane. They were created when a device Superman made to increase his intelligence 100-fold split him into two beings. On a special note, this story of Superman Red and Superman Blue were the basis of the Superman Red and Blue stories of the 1990s. First appearance, Superman, Volume 1, Issue 162, July 1963. Earth 172. Notable inhabitants, Batman, the Legion of Superheroes, and Superman. An Earth where Bruce Wayne was adopted by the Kents and became Clark's adoptive brother, soon joining him as the crime-fighting team of Superboy and Batboy. Later moving to Gotham, where Clark Kent became employed at the Gotham Gazette. As Batman, Wayne eventually relocates to the Legion of Superheroes in the 30th century. First appearance, World's Finest, Volume 1, Issue 172, December 1967. Earth 178. Notable inhabitants, Superman. An Earth where Superman lost his powers and adopted the identity of Nova. First appearance, World's Finest, Issue 178, September 1968. Earth 247. Notable inhabitants, 1994 incarnation of the Legion of Superheroes, home to a version of the Legion that had updated modern names like Livewire instead of Lightning Lad, and interacted with the inhabitants of the 20th and 21st century post-Zero Hour Earth. This universe was destroyed by several alternate versions of the Fatal Five and other circumstances. Named after Adventure Comics Volume 1, Issue 247, April 1958, the comic which features the Legion's first appearance. First appearance, Legion of Superheroes Volume 1, Issue 0, October 1994. Earth 276. Notable inhabitants, Captain Thunder, home of Captain Thunder, a distant reference to Captain Marvel that Superman fought soon after DC's 1970s Captain Marvel revival. This story helped lay the groundwork for the eventual Superman vs. Shazam oversized tabloid comic of 1978. First appearance, Superman issue 276, June 1973. Earth 387. Notable inhabitants, Supergirl. An Earth where no divergences in history have occurred, except that every inhabitant of the planet Earth is a lycanthrope, meaning everyone is a werewolf. First appearance, Adventure Comics Volume 1, Issue 387, December 1969. Earth 1191. Notable inhabitants, Batman, Dracula, James Gordon, Alfred Pennyworth, the Joker, Two-Face, Killer Croc, and Catwoman. An Earth where Batman fought against Dracula and was subsequently turned into a vampire. He would later go insane and try to kill all his enemies, until finally being killed by James Gordon and Alfred Pennyworth. First appearance, Batman and Dracula, Red Rain, 1991. Earth 1889. Notable inhabitants, Batman, Jack the Ripper. An Earth where Batman begins his career in the year 1889 and fought against Jack the Ripper, who turns out to have been the one who orchestrated the deaths of his parents. The first published Elseworld story. First appearance, Batman, Gotham by Gaslight, Issue 1, February 1989. Earth 1927. Notable inhabitants, Clark Kent's son, the Superman, Luthor, Bruce Wayne's son, the Nosferatu, and Diana, the Blue Amazon. Home of the Clockwork City of Metropolis where Superman once fought Luthor and Bruce Wayne's son took the alias of the Nosferatu. Inspired by three classics of pre-Second World War German Expressionist cinema, Fritz Lang's Metropolis, F.W. Munro's Nosferatu, and Josef von Sternberg's The Blue Angel. First appearance, Superman's Metropolis, 1996. Earth 1938. Notable inhabitants, Clark Kent, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, and Martians. An Earth where Clark Kent died to save the world from invading Martians in the year of 1938. The Second World War never occurred on this Earth as Adolf Hitler was killed by the Martians in the year 1938. The Clark Kent of this universe had the powers and costume of that of the Golden Age Superman. First appearance, Superman, War of the Worlds, Issue 1, 1999. Earth 3898. Notable inhabitants, Superman and Batman. A world where Superman and Batman started their careers in the 1930s and started families that would follow in their superhero footsteps all the way to the 30th century. First appearance, Superman and Batman, Generations, Issue 1, January 1999. Earth 7642. Notable inhabitants, all of the DC and Marvel characters. An Earth where Earth-1 and Marvel Comics characters coexisted, also had its own version of Darkseid and Dark Phoenix. First appearance, Superman vs. The Amazing Spider-Man, January 1976. Earth 9602. Notable inhabitants, amalgamated DC Marvel Comics characters including Super Soldier, which was Superman and Captain America, Darkclaw, which was Batman and Wolverine, and JLX, Justice League, and X-Men. A head-to-head battle with DC and Marvel characters for the survival of their universes ends in a draw, and both universes were combined as a result. For the comics that were published, an entire history existed for each of the combined characters. First appearance, DC vs. Marvel, 1996. Earth A. Notable inhabitants, evil versions of Earth-1 characters. Johnny Thunder's evil Earth-1 counterpart created Earth A, where he used Johnny's Thunderbolt to alter the origins of the Justice League, replacing them with his own henchmen, whom he granted powers and skills identical to the Justice League's. A stood for alternate, since it was an alternate timeline of Earth-1. First appearance, Justice League of America, Volume 1, Issue 37, August 1965. Earth B. This Earth was never specifically depicted but was suggested to exist in a letters column by DC editor-writer Bob Rozakis as a possible explanation for non-continuity stories or character traits. For example, stories that show Catwoman committing murder with no regrets, despite firm establishment history that she did not engage in that kind of activity. Rozakis designated it Earth B in honor of writer Bob Haney, whose Brave and the Bold stories were then notorious examples of such continuity errors. ICG's official Crisis Crossover Index theorized that DC Challenge took place on this Earth, which was given the involvement of Owen Guardians, would make it an alternate Earth-1 timeline. First appearance, not official. Earth C. Notable inhabitants, Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew. Captain Carrot, Ailey Catcabra, Fastback, Little Cheese, Pig Iron, Rubber Duck, and Yankee Poodle. This world is populated with anthropomorphic animals. The population included the characters from many of DC's Golden and Silver Age funny animal comics. Examples, the Dodo and the Frog, Peter Porkchops, Funny Stuff, etc. Historical heroes included the Golden Age superhero, the terrific Whatsit, and the 17th century's The Three Musketeers. First appearance, New Teen Titans, Issue 16, February 1982. Earth C-. Notable inhabitants, Just a Lot of Animals, Super Squirrel, Wonder Rabbit, the Bat Mouse, Green Lambkin, Aquaduck, and the Crash. Nearly the exact same as Earth C, but the Earth went along the same history as Earth-1 and has the heroes to copy it as well. The exploits of Earth C are viewed as imaginary on C- and vice versa. First appearance, Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew, Issue 14, April 1983. Earth D. Notable inhabitants, more ethnically diverse cast of heroes relating to Earth-1. Earth D featured a more ethnically diverse version of several Earth-1 heroes, such as an Asian Flash, a black Superman, and a Native American Green Arrow. The Earth D heroes had never experienced major tragedies in their lives. It was a combination of modern American multicultural sensibilities combined with Silver Age-style innocence. Sometimes considered the last credible Earth created after the Crisis on Infinite Earths and Zero Hour. First appearance, Legends of the DC Universe, Crisis on Infinite Earths, February 1999. Earth I. A world created by Despero that was populated by insect life forms. First appearance, Justice League of America, Volume 1, Issue 26, March 1964. Earth M. A world created by Despero that was populated by aquatic life forms. First appearance, Justice League of America, Volume 1, Issue 26, March 1964. Earth Prime. Notable inhabitants: Ultra, Superboy Prime, and DC editor Julius Schwartz. The keystone Earth from which all the other Earths within the multiverse originate from. Earth Prime had a few superheroes. The superheroes of Earth-1, Earth-2, Earth-X, etc. existed only in fiction. First appearance: Flash, Volume 1, Issue 179, May 1968. Earth Quality or Earth-Q. Notable inhabitants: characters from Quality Comics as well as some characters drawn or created by Will Eisner. Earth where stories published by Quality Comics occurred but the Allies won the Second World War, unlike Earth-X. First appearance: unknown. Earth-R, an Earth created by Despero that was populated by reptilian lifeforms. First appearance: Justice League of America, Volume 1, Issue 26, March 1964. Earth-S. Notable inhabitants: Captain Marvel and all of Fawcett Comics' heroes and villains. Fawcett Comics publications of the 1940s and 1950s took place on this planet, with its predominant heroic teams being the Marvel family, the Crime Crusader Club, and the Squadron of Justice, while the main team of supervillains were the Monster Society of Evil, named in Shazam Issue 1, February 1973. First appearance: Wiz Comics, Issue 2, February 1940. Earth-X, Jimmy Olsen's version. Notable inhabitants: Steelman, the Luthor League, League using terror, havoc, and robbery. An Earth visited by the Earth-1 Jimmy Olsen. Perry White is a retired matador, Professor Potter is a cranky boss at the World's Fair, and Clark Kent is a science fiction writer, and secretly a Joker-masked villain that leads the Luthor League. Jimmy gains Superman-like powers and becomes Steelman, a superhero wearing a combination of Superman and Batman's costumes. Designated Earth-X on the cover and in the story title, but not in the story itself. First appearance: Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, Issue 93, June 1966. Earth-X. Notable inhabitants: Freedom Fighters, reckoned to have migrated from Earth-2. Uncle Sam, the Human Bomb, Miss America, the Ray, Black Condor, Dollman, Phantom Lady, and Firebrand. On this world, Nazi Germany won the Second World War, and the Freedom Fighters, originally from Earth-2, fought to defeat it. Most Quality Comics publication chronicled adventures from this Earth. Named in Justice League of America, Volume 1, Issue 107, October 1973. First appearance: The Comics Magazine, Issue 1, 1936. Unnamed Earth. Notable inhabitants: Pariah. The Earth that Pariah comes from was never officially named. Fans often dubbed it Earth Omega, as it was the site of the beginning of the end. First appearance: Crisis on Infinite Earths, Issue 7, October 1985. That's it. Those are most of the Earths from DC's original multiverse. Some might be still wondering, why was this erased and brought back again? The concept deals with confusing aspects for both writers and readers alike. What do viewers and listeners have to say? What do you think?